My name's Kaitlyn Bright. I'm the Curatorial Assistant at the Waring Archaeology Lab, and I make pine needle baskets. My mom taught me how to do this back when I was 6 years old, and she learned from my grandfather, her dad, and he actually learned from an elder from the Cherokee tribe, Western Band. My mother and I do living history demonstrations. We've done demonstrations in Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, and we've been doing it since I was 6 years old. We use longleaf pine needles, both green and brown. The longleaf pine needles are also about twice the size of your average pine needle, so it makes making the basket a lot easier. We also use raffia. We use it to sew the basket together. Raffia is just stripped plant fiber. In the past, they would have used stripped fibers from bark. We use a quilting needle to sew the basket together. In the past, they would have used bone needles, such as bird bones. And we use straws to help hold the pine needles together, and it also helps keep the basket at a constant consistency so you don't have thick areas and thin areas in your basket. In the past, they would have used river cane or bamboo. So I'll take the 3 green pine needles and I'll tie a knot. I'll tie a knot in the raffia and stick the needle through the very center of the pine needles. And then I will start coiling the pine needles, and as I'm doing that, I'll start sewing a V pattern into the basket with the raffia. When the green needles start to get really thin is when you'll add your straw, and then you'll start putting the pine needles in, and that's when you'll start having your consistent size for your basket. When you get the base size that you want, you'll begin building the wall of your basket, and you'll move the pine needles up rather than to the side and start coiling up and around. Once you've reached the desired height for your basket, you check to see how much further you need to go to have an even top of the basket, and you'll let the pine needles go thin. When it's thin enough, you can tie a knot in the raffia, break off the rest of the pine needles you no longer need, and then you'll start back stitching. And back stitching is simply just going in the opposite direction that you were coiling to begin with, and instead of doing the V-stitch, you will do a single stitch. And you'll go one time all the way around the basket, and then you'll tie your final knot, hide it under raffia beneath it, and then cut the rest of the raffia off, and then you have a basket. This specific style of basket making is important to me because not only is it a part of my heritage, but it is also something that has been passed down from a Cherokee elder to my grandfather. He passed it down to my mother, who passed it down to me. I feel it is important to pass this on to my future children so the traditions are not forgotten. My goal is to keep this tradition of basket making alive for generations to come.